Good morning everybody, and welcome to this, well, not too cold midwinter's dawn safari here from the northeastern corner of the world's most beautiful country, that is South Africa, as voted for, of course, by South Africans. You are on a live safari. My name is James. Wium is on camera. Hello, Wium. Wium is very talkative this morning. He's been swearing at me since he got out of bed. On the other vehicle, we have got the buffalo-like figure of Byron, and he is being filmed by the bank robber-like figure of David Eastor. Yes, that is a real name. And in the final control, we have got Rebecca Christensen, ex-Denmark, being helped by Chelsea Green, ex-Vermont. Yes, that is in fact true. A multicultural team we have taking you on this very live safari. Please do talk to us during the course of the next 3 hours. Hashtag Safari Live if you're on Twitter. Questions at wildearth.tv if you are on the email. Do not bother sending us any post. Do not try and phone us. Phoning, not much signal out here. Post office in South Africa been on strike for, well, it seems like the last 100 years. Anyway, that is the way of things this morning. We heard lions calling around here early this morning. Byron's gone off in a westerly direction. Lex, who is driving out of Vuatela camp, is driving off in the same sort of direction to try and find them. The tracks go that way. We're going to drive up here towards the hyena den and see if they haven't gone into that block where the four drainage lines meet in this dam just behind us here. If you are a new viewer, you are extremely welcome. We're very happy to have you along. Please do talk to us. Questions about what you're seeing, questions about what on earth we're doing out here, and questions about Africa and South Africa are most welcome indeed. So, I think without further ado, let us head to the north. What we're going to do is just see if the tracks don't pop out anywhere near here. If they do, then we shall follow them. If they don't, I think we shall go to the hyena den and see if any of the spotted hyenas are there, and if they are, what they're doing. Is that all right, Wium? Oh, good. There we go. We got a little peep out of him, everybody. He went, Thank you, Shamsun, for reminding me. Yesterday, everyone, for those who didn't see, I slipped in a tree. In fact, I didn't slip at all. The tree decided that it didn't want me in its boughs, and a piece of it detached where I was hanging. And so I nearly plummeted to an early demise. Luckily, I caught myself. Shamsung, thank you for reminding everybody about my embarrassment. And yes, I am a little bit sore. I woke up with a bit of a pain down here where I had stabbed myself with the tree. Anyway, we get through these little things, Shamsung, and of course, I guess it's a lesson well learnt. One shouldn't really be sitting on twigs not strong enough to hold a bird. Anyway, it was just such a good spot to perch. I'm very glad, because the branch that did break was the one I was sitting on when it became live. I'm very pleased that it didn't give way while I was sitting there, because then I would have been in some trouble. I've got a small splinter still in my hand, which is very sore. Just going to keep an eye out on the road for tracks. And this morning, what tends to happen with these lions in this area, I don't know why they do this so consistently, they come past here, shout the odds at about sort of 5:15, and then keep shouting until about 5:45, and then they go quiet, and by the time we get out on drive, they've sort of gone to sleep. The tracks of a male going up here as well. All right, well, while we try and assess what's going on with these tracks, let's head across to Byron and find out his plans.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome again to Safari Live. I am Byron, and with me on camera this morning I have David. Morning, David. Hope you are all having a great day wherever you are around the world, and it's great to have you with us again on this very cool winter's morning in the Sabi Sands. So, we had a lovely day yesterday. We got to see some lions yesterday evening, two young males. And we had a lot of lion activity this morning, lions calling all over in different directions. So James and I are both working in an area trying to see if we can't find any lions. Have seen some tracks this morning heading up and down a road. So we're trying to work around a block and see if we can't find exactly which direction they've gone into. And I got to see that little clip of James falling out the tree yesterday. Even though I thought it was kind of funny, I am very glad that he didn't get hurt. I think he could have done some serious damage there. A lot of hyena tracks around this morning, and there was in fact a hyena in camp last night. I was wandering through and I heard the footsteps outside my door, but eventually it moved on. We try and pack all the food away so that it doesn't get into anything. Sorry, I thought I heard something. Just trying to listen again. It's often very important to try to stop and listen in the bush, especially with these lions that have been calling all morning. There's a good chance that they'll possibly call again. Not just lions, leopards too. They'll do territorial calling. So while we stop like this, we're always listening out, trying to see if we can't find anything that way. It's a good sign for us to know which area to start looking in. I think I'm hearing things in my head. Every time I think I hear a lion roar, I think it's because I'm convincing myself that they are going to call, but there doesn't seem to be anything. There's some waterbuck up ahead. Look straight ahead. The hardy-dar ibis calling in the distance. There we go, some beautiful waterbuck. Look at that very prominent white ring around the rump. Very easy to identify a waterbuck. Those are females. The males have these beautiful long horns which curve up and around. They get the name waterbuck because they are very reliant on water. They do need to drink on a regular basis. And I have read that they are one of the few antelope that can suffer from dehydration very easily if they don't have water, which is quite interesting. So you'll often find them in areas where there are water holes or dams or even rivers. Look at those large ears. And you can also pick up on any predator activity by watching antelope like this. They're very alert, and their hearing and their sense of smell and their eyesight is far better than ours. And you can see those ears fixed in one direction. I wonder if she hasn't heard anything. It's a beautiful morning, not nearly as cold as it has been. It's a little warmer this morning by a few degrees, but it is lovely. We are in a spot now a little bit higher, so the warmth is definitely felt up here a lot more. But once you start dropping into those little drainage lines and lower lying areas, you'll feel the temperature does drop a bit too. It's amazing to see their focus. Look how intent she is on looking in that direction. She may also just have seen another antelope moving through there. They haven't given any alarm calls. Often the antelope, and each antelope species, have a different alarm call. It's either a snort or a whistle or a bark that they give off if they do come across any predators. And that is to warn each other and other animals around that there is danger or potential danger and they need to get out of the area. They've got beautiful thick coats. Very, very thick, shaggy looking antelope. I've had guests in the past say, well, they look exactly like deer. And they do. We do not have any deer in Africa or in southern Africa. There have been fallow deer which have been introduced into parts of South Africa, not into the national parks, but into parts of South Africa, but they do not occur naturally. But in the in the natural wild areas, we do not have deer, we only have antelope. And the difference between deer and antelope is that a deer grows antlers, which are shed annually, and antelope grow horns, which grow throughout their lifetime. They do not lose them, they continue to grow. That is the main difference between antelope and deer. It's a young one off to the front. We were very lucky. Yesterday morning we got to see, or James got to see the lions with the cubs, and we got to see a Nyala female with a baby lamb, a newborn lamb, which was really, really fantastic to see. Lucy has asked, what does a waterbuck alarm call sound like? I'm trying to think. My waterbuck impression isn't very good. The waterbuck alarm call. Lucy, good question. I think it sounds similar to, it's quite a bit of a high-pitched, almost a whistle that they give off. I can't mimic it, and I wouldn't even hazard a guess. Maybe James can help you with that later on. See if he knows how to mimic a waterbuck alarm call. His voice is much better than mine anyway. Let's move on and carry on checking around this area for any sign of predator activity, any tracks. And it then makes it a bit easier to spot tracks. But at the same time, we need to be scanning because you could miss something walking through the bush. I understand we had a few gremlins this morning. The signal's jumping around a little and can hear me and see loud and clear. And that is one of the short live in the middle of nowhere. Is occasionally we do lose signal, but it is still amazing that you can watch a live safari and join us, and what we see is what you see. I'm still very much getting used to this whole concept. You know, there's no cuts or take-backs, and if I make a mistake, it's live. It's one of those things. So it is quite entertaining. Quite a few branches have been broken off in the road, and that's definitely from elephant walking through the area. Doesn't look too fresh, probably from a day or so ago, but broken branches in the road are always a good sign that you've got elephant in the area. See some hippo tracks around here, and there's no permanent water that I know of close by, but it just shows you they can cover huge distances in the evenings looking for food. And the hippos are grazers, and in this area there is still a little bit of grass, a little bit of short grass around, and that's what they would be looking for to feed on. While we continue our search in this area, cross over to James for an update and see what he is up to.
Now, we drove around towards the Gallagher Pan. There are one or two more lion tracks lurking about here. We did a little trip up the drainage line past the front of Wiatela camp. Nothing further, I'm afraid. Anyway, we're going to go straight to the hyena den now and see if the lions haven't popped out there. Or maybe just the hyenas, that will do. The hyena den is on a major game path or major sort of thoroughfare through the area. Oh. Very rough part of road, that. Lions, of course, this time of the day will now be thinking about finding a spot to snooze. And there are some male tracks going up here, but they disappear from here. There's a warthog running along the road. Now, this particular piece of road is the worst piece of road on Djuma. Liam, you're still there? No, he's not. He's still there. He's just not. He's not very vociferous today. Okay. We got through that. It's not quite as cold as it was the last few days. It's about 14 degrees, I'm told. That, I think, is about 58 degrees Fahrenheit, so not too bad for midwinter. As we head towards July. 1458. 1661. That's how you remember these things. Constant repetition. Going to be any tracks outside? Nyala. Ah. Hello, Wendy in New York. While we're driving along looking for lions, you say, what are the most elusive animals for us to find here on safari? Wendy, they can all be pretty elusive, you know. But I suppose the most elusive thing would be something like a leopard, which if you're actually trying to track it as opposed to just happening across it, walking across the road, very difficult to try and track because they leave so little sign. They are very light. They've got those soft padded feet like your dog does, and you can imagine trying to follow them through an area like this. So I guess that would be elusive. Rare, wild dogs and cheetahs, of course, they're very rare, and so to see them is quite difficult. But if you do have their tracks, for example, wild dogs, if you've got their tracks, they're normally not too hard to actually find. But even lions, the cats, if they don't want to be seen, it's very difficult to find them, even something heavy like a lion. So Wendy, I guess those would be the two most elusive. The sun seems to be about to pop up. So as we turn into the hyena den, perhaps we will be lucky there. Plenty of elephant tracks on the road. And as we like to say here at Safari Live, the road is our morning newspaper that tells us the news of the night. What's been moving, who's been moving, and where they've been moving to. Often not very clearly, though. Right, we'll just gently ease our way down here. Byron apparently has challenged me to make a waterbuck alarm call. I can't remember hearing a waterbuck alarm call, to be honest. So I don't think I can. Rebecca, what did it sound like? Radio silence. Right. We don't know. I think it's most likely... So Lex is already down here. Copy, Lex. I had the same idea. Is there any activity at the den there? All right. We're just going to go and have a quick look. Apparently there's only one hyena here. Now, I think what that means is that the rest of the clan is not actually using this area. I think these lions are in the middle here. There's a huge sort of a network of 4 or 5 drainage lines in there that feed into the Buffelshoek Dam, and I think that's where they are. You cannot get in there in a car. Okay, we'll go and have a quick look at this hyena and see if the little babies pop out. We'll which will be very exciting. It's probably still a little bit cold for them. Hello, Michael. A very nice question from you about the dominance hierarchy here at the hyena den. You say you know that the males are lower ranking than the females, but what happens if a male is born to a matriarch? Is he also lower ranking than all the females? Yes, he is, to a certain extent. And to some extent he's higher ranking in that he will have preference. When they've got very young cubs, he'll have preference with the younger cubs. Here we can just see the female there. And so he'll have preference over the younger cubs and the female cubs. But once puberty is hit, he falls into the male hierarchy, and he will be a higher ranking male, but he will certainly not be any higher ranking than any of the females, simply by virtue of their size. You know, those females are just so much bigger than the males. And the other thing to note, of course, is that if a male hyena wants to actually mate, he's normally got to leave the clan into which he's born. Now, it's quite interesting because a male hyena, a high-ranking male hyena, doesn't really stand much chance of mating within his natal clan. So he has a choice whether to stay within his clan and remain dominant over the male hierarchy, or to migrate to another clan where he will almost certainly lose any kind of rank that he had, but he'll have a much greater chance of breeding. And it's a situation that is completely different from any other mammal species that I know of, where a low-ranking male within a clan or a social system has an equal or better chance of mating and leaving a genetic legacy than a higher-ranking male. It simply does not happen in any other mammal species that I know of. And I think that's fascinating. Now, the thoroughfare that I was talking about that the lions often use is kind of down, it comes from down through there. It walks up here, goes past the den site, and walks up to Mvubu Road. And it's a very slightly strange den, this. So it's just, I think it's worth sitting here for another 5 minutes or so, and then I think we'll move on and see if we can't find something else, or where these lions have gone. It's extremely irritating that they weren't just lying on the road for us when we arrived. She's not quite up yet. She's finding Monday morning a bit exhausting. You see that, Wium?
Yeah, like me.
Just like you. She's almost as silent as you are this morning. I have to tell you, everyone, you get up early in the morning here, you realize it's Monday morning, and you think, good grief, what a joy that this is Monday morning versus driving in the traffic to somewhere. Go and sit at a desk, answer emails, and chat about sport over the water cooler. Far better to come here and sit with a hyena who is very relaxed and sleepy as the sun comes up and warms our faces as it does just about every single day. And just in case you're wondering, everyone, she does have 2 little cubs in there, in the burrow underneath her bottom, and she'll be protecting them there. I think it's probably a bit cold for them to come out. I think that's why they're not playing around right now. They'll probably will play a bit later, maybe say in an hour or so, when the air has warmed up a bit. And the reason I say I don't think this is the main den for the rest of the clan is that the rest of the clan just isn't here. They've come through here, they've played here, and then they've disappeared. But where they are, I don't know. Now, Siberia Zumi, you were asking about the lower ranking males and whether they scout, I think, was that the question, Rebecca, scout for food? Yeah, all the males will scout for food, but they will largely forage for themselves. And then if they find something that is being murdered, or they find something that's been killed already, like a buffalo or a zebra, then they'll make a noise and rally the rest of the clan, and the rest of the clan will come. But the males generally foraging on their own for themselves, maybe in groups of two. We know we've got those two males in our little clan here that spend a lot of time together, normally down to the south of their clan territory, into Little Gowrie and the southern reaches around sort of Treehouse Dam. Now Byron's just found the tracks of the male lions heading north into Buffelshoek. So I think that that's that with the lions. So they've crossed north into Buffelshoek. Copy that, Byron. Thanks very much. Right, I think let's move on from here. Let's turn around, and we might come back here a little bit later, but let's go and see if we can't find maybe some tracks of Kurula, the great queen. Or let's just wait 1 second. We've got a couple of questions coming through. Margaret, do you want to know about the siblicide that takes place, the canism? And you say, do the female cubs kill their siblings? They can kill their siblings, Margaret. It's not uncommon in the slightest, but it's uncommon with the low-ranking female. So with the low-ranking animals, they don't tend to have that great androgen, which is a hormonal increase just before birth, which is what happens with the dominant female's cubs. Now, they will have a slight one, but not a big sort of explosion of androgen hormone just before they're born. And so it's unlikely with a low-ranking female that the siblicide or canism will occur. Good morning. But with a high-ranking female, often, yes, especially if they're two female cubs, then it's very likely that one female will kill the other. Let's head across to Byron, find out an update, and he can tell you firsthand what happened to those lion tracks.
So we've just found two young kudu. That's a young male kudu. You can just see the horns starting there. Just reverse a little bit for you again. There was a female with him. Hang on, I'll get a nice glimpse of them. There we go. So we've been checking very carefully for the lion tracks, and unfortunately they seem to have crossed north onto Buffelshoek, just out of the Djuma area. It looked like tracks of at least 2 lionesses, I think possibly 3. Now have a look at that beautiful male, young male. See those horns? Just about ear length. And the older he gets, those horns will grow and become those beautiful spiral horns, which we are used to seeing on the big bulls, the big kudu bulls. So as I said, these lions have crossed the road, this main road that we're on. They've crossed north. And I'm almost certain that some of these lionesses are the lionesses that we heard this morning early, and because it's almost directly north from where the camp is. So, but what we're doing is we are going to keep checking the road, because often what happens is a lot of these predators can move in an area and circle back, and they'll come back across into another area. So we've got to always just keep our wits about us and keep checking carefully, because it's not unusual. And I've seen it often with leopards, following leopards too. They'll walk along the road and they'll move off, and you think, oh, they've left the road and they've moved into a thicket, and a few meters down the road they cross back onto the road again. Occasionally what happens is, let's just have a look at, oh, hang on. There are lioness tracks here. Just want to check if these are not a few days old or from yesterday. Just have a look quickly. Stay with me. Let's see. So they've followed a very prominent path over here, and there are lioness tracks, but as I suspected, they are not fresh. And the reason I can tell is there is a hyena track just over here, and that hyena track is on top of the lioness track. So that's a good sign that these tracks are not very fresh. I'm guessing that perhaps these lionesses crossed on maybe last night, and this hyena was walking around, maybe following the lionesses, picked up on their scent. They will often do that because they could potentially come across a kill that the lionesses have made, and they could try and scavenge. So these tracks, I think, are the same lionesses which may have walked down across and down onto our side and moved around through Vuyatela and then back north across onto Buffelshoek. I think that's exactly what's happened here. See, so it's important when you are tracking, always have a look at a larger area around the tracks. Don't just look at a specific track, because there will always be clues around. As I said, I saw a very clear line track. Excuse me a second, just hold on. Go ahead, Lex. Lex, if you just head a little bit further east along the Gowrie-Buffelshoek cut line, not far east of the Mvubu junction with Gowrie-Buffelshoek cut line. Sorry, and so as I was saying, the line tracks, or any track for that matter, if you see a track or fresh track, there's some fresh buffalo tracks here. And there we go, there's the buffalo. Two of them, looks like. Ah, you see, so it's important. My multitasking isn't too bad this morning. I managed to talk to you and spot a few tracks, which is great. I'm happy about that. So just as I was saying with tracking, when you are following something, always look at a bigger picture. Back there I saw a clear line track, and I could easily have made the mistake and said, oh, these are fresh, let's follow them. But on closer inspection, I saw that there was a hyena that had stood over the track. Often you might get birds walking on top of a track, and those are all signs that those tracks are potentially much older. Especially now in winter in the soft sand, the tracks can stay or appear fresh for a lot longer because there's not a lot of wind, very calm, so there's not sand blowing into the tracks constantly, so they may appear fresher when they actually aren't. But look at these two buffalo bulls, old buffalo bulls. Look at that very thick boss, that horn structure on the front of the head. And the males develop very thick bosses because they use it when they are fighting or challenging each other for dominance. See that little bird fly down and fly up? Looked like a fork-tailed drongo. There we go. Flew past again. The reason for that is while these buffalo are moving through an area and grazing, they disturb a lot of insects. So often you get birds following herds of buffalo. Oh, looks like we've lost signal. We're back. Can hear a hyena calling in the distance. As I was saying, while these buffalo are moving through, there are a few more birds coming down. They're always disturbing insects, and elephant and buffalo are key examples of this because they're such large animals. You can imagine they do disturb a lot of smaller creatures in the grass. So Nell from Washington has asked us about tapeworm and do the predators contract tapeworm from the prey that they eat? And how are they able to get rid of the tapeworm? So Nell, it is a good question. I am not too sure. What I will do is I will try and look that up later in depth and try and get a bit more information about the tapeworm for you. I have not seen tapeworm affect any predators. I know the other day we had that old leopard, or that leopard that was released in Dile, that regurgitated a tapeworm, and that's possibly also because it was being doctored and treated for potential rabies because of the wild dog. But I'm not sure how the predators are affected or how they contract it. I will try and find out. Tammy has asked, are there any other animals besides lions which are cannibals? So, Tammy, I don't think it's a clear-cut case of lions being cannibals. Occasionally what happens, yes, they may feed on other lions, but it's not a case that they are feeding on them for food. What they will do, and I have seen it with male lions, they will often, if they are fighting with each other for territory or for dominance, if they kill one another, or if one lion kills another one, it may feed on that lion. It's not always the case, and it may do that, and the reason is it's more of a dominance display. They eat the other lion that they've killed purely to demonstrate their dominance. I have seen male lions kill and eat other cubs, and it's a similar reason. But the reason for that usually is because the males, if those cubs do not belong to them, they do not want potential competition in the future. So they prefer to kill those cubs if they belong to another male. And that also may cause the females to come into estrus a lot quicker so that those males may mate with them. In terms of other animals practicing similar behavior, I have heard of leopards doing it. I have seen leopards doing it, and again, it's purely a dominance display. It's not a case of them feeding on them for food. They may eat them for a short period of time. They won't necessarily finish another predator or another leopard or another lion. They may just eat it for a little while, and again, it's just that dominance display or territorial display. Travel forward a little bit here. It's a beautiful morning, the sun's out. And it's starting to warm up already, much warmer than yesterday. Yesterday we were still very cold this time of the morning. So Maggie has asked us an interesting question. Maggie has asked, usually lions or other predators will choose to hunt older and perhaps sick prey because it may be easier for them. Yes, that is right. They do that, Maggie. And you asked, why do there seem to be a lot of old buffalo around? The reason for that is, even though these buffalo look old, they are incredibly powerful. And you can ask any guide, I think most of them would say, one of the animals which they do not like walking into on a bushwalk is a buffalo. I know for me that is certainly the case. And the reason is they are quite unpredictable. and they can move very quickly, and they're extremely powerful. And like other animals, we'll just move forward a little bit, get behind this little termite mound. But like other animals, they may move off if they see us. And what happens is, with the buffalo though, they will generally move away a little bit. They snort and they give a bit of it's almost like an alarm call. They go, and they'll turn and then they run a little bit, but they stop and they turn back and they want to see what it is that is chasing them. But so that's why, anyway, one of the reasons why buffalo, I think, are a little bit... Morning, everyone. Morning. That's why I think buffalo, especially these old males, are not easily killed. And I've seen buffalo being attacked by lions, and the buffalo just shake the lions off their back. And they are really, really powerful. That's one of the reasons why there are still so many old buffalo bulls around. But as I said, when walking through the bush, these buffalo bulls, you need to be quite aware of them. They look very docile and very lazy, but trust me, they're not. They will move and work together to protect themselves against any predator. That's the other thing. The buffalo do work together. They will often turn and charge a pride of lions if lions are trying to attack them. I've seen lions hunting, racing into a herd, trying to separate one or two of the buffalo away from the herd, and the herd deciding that they've had enough of this, and the entire herd turned together and they chased the lions, and the lions ended up in a small tree, balancing on the branches away from the sharp horns below. So peaceful at the moment. We're going to continue on our search now. We'll leave these buffalo bulls and allow them to continue their breakfast and feeding. While we do that, go back to James, get an update. Hopefully he's found something interesting for you.
I haven't found anything interesting just yet, everyone. I gave up on the hyenas because we heard elephants shouting around where we are now, but they're not here. Anyway, we're going to head to the south. No one's checked if the Queen has come back. It's about time she brought her babies back to see us, I feel. So maybe she will do that, and we'll go down the western fringes as well, and maybe Shadow will do the same and bring her little baby back. Maybe Sandila will be there. Maybe there'll be a great gathering of the Karula clan. Karula, George and Charlotte, Shadow and Sandila and Zara, and maybe Tingana will come and have a visit as well. I think it's unlikely, don't you, Wium?
No, why not?
Well, you know the most leopards in one sighting there ever was at Londolozi was 9. 9 leopards in one sighting. And it was exactly that kind of situation where the father was there were 2 cubs from a previous litter, 2 sisters or a mother and a daughter were there, 2 cubs. And look, they weren't all sort of lazing about each other like a lion pride, but they were definitely in the same sighting, which I think is absolutely amazing. So it's not entirely impossible that at Balanites Junction, just up ahead here, we'll have a great pride of leopards. It's more likely there'll be nothing there, though. I think the sun is going to warm us very beautifully today. What is the prospect for the temperature, Rebecca, today, maximum? I'm going to say about 27 degrees Celsius, 80, 25, which is about 78 degrees Fahrenheit. That's not bad for midwinter, really. We've only got 3 days left of June. Then we have July, which will be cold again, but after that it will become hot again. Can't believe that's already where we are in the year. but really not a great deal in the way of mammal life to tell you about right now. So we'll stop up ahead here at the Balanites tree, reminisce about Brent falling out of it. Beautiful, beautiful tree. Matthew, you're in Michigan and you say, where are the snakes? And you know they're in a state of estivation, but do they come out and when do they come out? Matthew, they will come out, not in the morning like this, but in the middle of the day they could come out and sun themselves from their burrows. They might be in a tree hole on a Balanites tree like this, and they may well be sitting sort of on the branches for a while, and then as it cools down again they'll go back inside. It's highly unlikely that they'll move around much. It's unlikely that they will then try and hunt either. So they'll normally just come out, warm themselves on a tree like this or on the termite mound in which they found themselves a little burrow, and then they'll kind of go back when it gets cold again. They don't do much in the way of moving about this time of the year. So the chances actually are not bad to see snakes in the winter time, simply because snakes do have to warm themselves every so often. So yeah, I mean, you can see them, and at night especially. Interestingly, you know, when the roads are warm, if there's been a warm winter's day like the one we're going to have today, then the snakes can come out and they will lie on the warmth as the earth radiates the heat out, and they'll lie there for a while and then go back inside their little mounds. They'll live in sort of holes. In a termite mound like this, there'll be a few holes down there where dwarf mongoose or snakes can enjoy the warmth of the insulation and then pop out in the sun and warm themselves on a day like today. Thank you, Matthew. Well done. This is one of my favourite spots here because you've got such a lovely view out to the east. It's a bit bright now with the sun, but it's the perfect dawn spot when you want to watch the sun come up. This is where you need to be. Normally, one hopes to find some mammals in the same picture as the rising sun. Today, that is not the case. We'll be hopeful though, won't we, Wium? We'll remain hopeful. It is a glorious, glorious day. I suspect we're going to find dwarf mongoose around the next corner. We'll sit with them for a little while. I know where there's a burrow. I hope. Getting rather desperate. No, they're not there. They're often on that mound over there. There don't seem to be any there now. Obviously, not today. Has anybody managed to find out what a waterbuck sounds like when its alarm calls? I'm pretty sure it just makes a noise. There is a species of antelope, though, that whistles when it's alarmed. I can't remember which one it is, and I feel like it might be a lechwe, which is a close relative of a waterbuck's. A whistling noise of alarm. Might actually be the waterbuck. There's a vast array of life out here, isn't there, but I nearly called Wium Byron. This is how desperate I'm becoming. Ah, impala, there we go. Phew. Look, Wium, impala. Good, well, I think we'll sit here for a couple of hours. Enjoy the company of these impala. They don't run away. Now, these impala are standing in a thicket. And Wium, what is the thicket predominantly made up of?
Strychnos.
And strychnos, of course, our least favourite tree, well, one of our least favourite trees, because it is horrible to try and drive off-road around strychnos bushes, and they are encroacher species, and almost never do you see animals eating them. But this time of the year, and especially with the drought, I've seen lots of animals eating them. We've seen buffalo chewing on them, now we've got impala eating them, plenty of the browsers, kudu and nyala. And while I don't think they're particularly toxic, they're definitely not the most nutritious of food, or, I mean, animals will avoid them quite often. And you can see, therefore, how a drought is going to affect the vegetation, and it's going to affect the way that the vegetation kind of survives the drought. In a normal year of sort of standard issue rainfall, nothing would touch these strychnos trees, or very few. Maybe the elephants would bite them and push them over. That's why they're so scraggly. But now, they're providing a very valuable source of forage during the course of the drought, and that will inevitably change their shape. They will either sort of die back a bit, or the browsing will stimulate them and they'll become much larger, and the thickets will get thicker. It's going to be quiet for 20 seconds and listen to the early morning sounds. So you can hear a fork-tailed drongo in the background going, which is a strange noise for it to be making. There it is. I actually think it's doing the call of, it's attempting to do a Franklin call. Look at that, its head bops up and down. That's so cool, and it's very quiet, subdued chorus. In the background, one or two crested barbets going. Hello, Deborah, armchair traveller. We're looking at these impala. They've both got two horns. They've all got two horns. And you're wondering about Nelson, one-horned, one-eyed impala that we used to see around here, and wondering if anyone's seen him. No, Deborah, I haven't seen Brother Nelson for some time, so I'm not sure if he's shaken off this mortal coil and been devoured, perhaps by some lions, on account of the fact that he couldn't see anything coming from his left-hand side. But he may have just moved down south. He was spending quite a lot of time on the boundary between us and Little Gowrie, so maybe he's just gone down south. I haven't heard hide nor hair of Nelson, the one-eyed impala, for some time.
That's like it's taking so long.
It does look like they've seen something behind. Let's just sit here, see if they don't alarm call in terror. Now the oxpeckers have got up and flown off. Now they look quite relaxed. It's interesting. Let's sneak a little bit forward and see if we can't get something there. They definitely looked very concernedly in this direction. Maybe they smelt something. If they had seen a leopard or something like that, they would have alarm called. Maybe they just smelt some predator on the wind. Perhaps a hyena walked past here. Watching for tracks. There are plenty of hyena tracks around. It is not surprising. Maybe some Sundile is lurking in the bushes here. I don't see any sign of a predator, obviously. One of those mornings, so amazing how it happens. Lions calling as you wake up in the night and pour your first cup of coffee, and you think, oh, that's a great prospect for the morning. And almost irretrievably they disappear. Plenty of elephant activity around during the night. Plenty of hyena activity. Aru, thank you very much. You've looked up the waterbuck's alarm call and you say it sounds exactly like the one I've made. Good. Did you enjoy that, Wium?
Yes.
Good. I am trying to cheer you up, of course. You know, you were such a miserable so-and-so this morning. Late movie, yes. Wium was watching a movie till late, everybody. One of those movies that wasn't very good, was it, Wium? No. Waste of time. Angry with himself for wasting his time. Good grief, there's another Impala, Wium. We're on fire this morning. There it is. There we are. And what is it eating? Strychnos. I think it is eating a strychnos, or is it a... No, it's not. It's a Cumbritum bush. Very elegant, very shiny red in the sun. I think that's very pretty. Right, let's carry on. We've had enough of Impala for a little while. We will certainly go back to them if we cannot find any leopards. Or some form of predatory animal. We'll also just have a look down towards the west, towards the mountains, to see them lighting up as the dawn breaks. Well, the dawn has broken. Might be worth heading to Cheetah Plains as well. There's nothing here. There you are, everybody. Look at the misty mountains. And there are elephants. You see them, Wium? Well, can you see the trees moving? There's some elephants making a great deal of noise and consternation through there. There. Brilliant elephant sighting, isn't that? Fantastic. Yeah. I mean, if you were to tune in immediately, suddenly, and say, what are we looking at? You would obviously know that we were looking at elephants. They are very cross there. Anyway, there are the misty mountains on top of which Ulusaba lies. That's Richard Branson's little spot. Byron has got a bird of prey. Let's go and look. We're back again. I don't know where Byron is driving Wendy at the moment. Probably got lost. He's probably somewhere near Cape Town. That's why his signal's a bit dodgy. Byron has a wandering albatross to show you. Let's go around the corner and see if we can't see those elephants properly. More than just one shaking, weeping wattle bush in the distance. This was Sindile's favourite haunt, of course, this area, before he went to rehab. And again, just if you are wondering who on earth I'm talking about, a 20-year-old male leopard, not 20-year-old, 20-month-old male leopard, who had to go to rehab because he killed a dog that had rabies. He's back now. We see him irregularly. He's finding his way in the difficult world. There's an elephant bottom on the road. Do you see it, Wium? There it is. It's just crossing south so that we can't view it. I'm hoping they'll be on both sides of the road. They are. Here they are, everybody. Joy and rapture, unforeseen elephants. Tiny little baby elephant there. Right, let's approach with caution and due respect. It's a huge herd. Huge herd. Lots and lots of elephants here. Tiny little one there that you can see. And you see I think you'll find that there are a number of different family groups here. And the sort of young bulls are meeting up with other young bulls of the same age. And they'll start fighting with each other. And that's what all that noise is. It's rather excitement than it is any form of distress. You can see the cows and the calves taking the time to just sort of feed during the morning, which is what they do very responsibly. Look at this little thing here. How they don't get stood on is an absolute miracle. It's so small. Playing with the biting mum's tail. That is very, very young, everyone. That's probably a couple of months. And that'll be a group of cows and their daughters. Hello, Bigger Picture. You say you've just found this channel and you think it's very awesome. We think it's very awesome too, Bigger Picture. Thank you for watching us. Please keep watching and please do take the time to get hold of us again. Thank you very much for doing that. Look at these two young bulls here having a fight now. And just see the dust settling. It's fantastic. Right, let's quickly go back to Byron. He's got something interesting to show you.
Look what we have found, everyone. I know James has got those elephants here, but we wanted to show you this quickly. Look at this beautiful bird that we have found. It is the African hawk eagle. Sorry, I'm joking. It's the African harrier hawk. African harrier hawk, which used to be known as the gymnogene. Now, they are incredible birds. I'll explain to you why. These African harrier hawks, what they do is they raid nests. So they will raid nests like those buffalo weaver nests. These birds will fly into them and stick their heads right in. They've got very long... Can you hear him calling? Beautiful call, this high-pitched whistle. So what they do is they stick their necks into a nest, and the reason for that is they then try and get the chicks or eggs out of the nest. But their legs have the ability to bend almost backwards. Their hinges on the knees bend very, very well, and they're able to curl right underneath and in under a nest to get to the chicks. They really are beautiful birds. You don't see them that often. I noticed behavior not too long ago. I was watching an African harrier hawk raiding a nest, and amazingly what happens is they have the ability to change the color of their face. Now at the moment, that one, and when he turns to look into the sun, you'll see it again. It's got that very, very yellow face. And I saw them being mobbed by other birds, and that face turned bright red almost immediately. It's interesting to see the coloration change so quickly. I'm going to see if I can get a little bit closer to this bird for you. While I do that, head back to James and see what those elephants are up to.
The elephants have left, I'm afraid, everybody. They've gone south out of the property, but there is one big bull left. So let's just ease our way forward and get a look at him. The rest of them are knocking about through here, and the little ones are having a great time, shouting at each other. The young bulls are playing, and as is so typical in human society and elephant society, the young girls are very responsibly kind of going around the place, having their breakfast, looking after the youngsters, while the males cause havoc. And then on the outskirts of the herd, one big bull, and that's him over there. He's not very big. Well, I mean, compared with us, he's massive, but he's not the biggest bull in the world. I'm just going to ease forward, Wimpy. We'll just roll gently forward. There we go. This is very upset Franklin. Really is a lovely big herd. This, I think they're probably what? About 30 elephants here, which is a pretty big herd for this area. It's normally sort of 10, and sometimes much smaller than that even. That'll be another young bull. This looks slightly older than the ones that we're fighting. Oh, he's just a bit nervous. And elephants, like with people, they'll just have different personalities. Some will be rambunctious and sort of like to fight with each other and cause a great deal of consternation, if you like, while others will just be very gentle and walk at the back. Hungry all the time. Must be so exhausting. Eating. A bit like Connor. Connor is our engineer. He is hungrier than most elephants all the time. Let's go a little bit forward and get in front of this fellow. There's one just to the left of us here who's now slightly alarmed at the fact that we're easing forward. So that open-eared stance is just him saying, I see you, I'm aware of you, I'm slightly alarmed by you, look how big my ears are. And then either move off or just continue. Now, this tree is being mangled by this young bull. And what he's doing is, you can see there, he looks like he's eating wood. He isn't. He'll be pulling the nutritious stuff between the bark and the wood off and eating that. That's where the nutritious parts of that wood is. Alright, let's go back to Byron and his gymnogene. It looks like the gymnogene is performing amazingly.
Yes, James, that is correct. It is a gymnogene. It used to be known as a gymnogene, and the new name, as I mentioned, was the African harrier hawk. Now, this is typical behavior of the African harrier hawk. Look how he's perched on that branch and looking right into the hole. And they will do this while they're looking for food and potentially trying to raid a nest of something. Look how it's able to stick its head right into the stump. This is really wonderful. I wish you could see that face turn bright red when it feels threatened. I'm assuming it's got a lot of capillaries and veins around that face, and because it is so exposed, it's able to force blood to that face and cause it to turn red very, very quickly. It's very interesting behavior. I've only seen it once or twice where it turns red almost immediately. I didn't know they were able to turn red so quickly, but very interesting behavior. I have seen them at times where the face is just generally a redder color. Here it comes. Ah, beautiful. Trying to get 1 or 2 snaps. Trying to get 1 or 2 shots. If I have anything good, I will post it on Instagram for everybody to see. But that was a wonderful sighting. That was really, really great. And it's always nice to see these birds of prey that you don't get to see very often, and especially one like that. And it's got such an interesting story and interesting behavior, the way it's able to raid nests and stick its head in bark or tree stumps. Fantastic, and I'm glad we got to see it actually doing that. All right, so we're in a drainage line now. We had a brief view of a leopard track. I struggled to gauge how fresh it was, but I want to work around this area and see if I can't find any fresh signs of leopard. While I do that, James is still with the elephant. Go and join him.
Yes, we are still with the elephant, everybody. Just the one bull here, and he's macerating this Combretum bush, which unfortunately is not going to survive the winter unscathed. It may well, ironically, actually survive, though. So despite the fact that it is going to be in many pieces and has been broken many times, it has thrived and survived in these adverse conditions. And what I'm hoping is this bull's going to come out in front of us. He's a youngish chap. He's probably about 20 or so, 22 maybe. He's sort of trailing the herd. And I don't, maybe he's coming into his first must or something like that. And that means that basically his testosterone levels will be quite high. And he'll be thinking about mating, but he's not quite big enough to be genuinely competing for mating opportunities. Although he is massive. I mean, he's probably 5 tons, 5,000 kilograms, 10,500 pounds. Elaine, a nice one from you about how the elephants are going to respond to this drought. Will they become cranky, or as the nutrition starts to affect them, the lack of nutrition? You want to know if they'll become cranky or not. Elaine, I think it's possible, certainly, that as they become more and more stressed, they could become crankier, less likely to be as relaxed as they are now. I think that is definitely a possibility. I don't think it's going to result in danger for us, but I definitely think that it's going to result in them being stressed, and exactly the same as with you. When you feel stressed out, well, you're just not quite as nice. I don't think, well, I'm certainly not. When I'm stressed, I'm not quite as nice as I might be otherwise. Well, there goes that tree. Isn't that amazing? The strength of that. I couldn't hang on that branch. I could easily hang on that branch, and it wouldn't break. It would hardly bend. This elephant has just wedged it between his tusks and his trunk and snapped it off. Quite remarkable. He's a magnificent fellow, he really is. Really doing a number on that plant. Look at that. Look at that. It's a fantastic view of what he's able to do with his trunk and his tusks there. Now he's actually got his teeth onto it, I think. That's fantastic. Justin, you want to say why doesn't, or your comment is that elephants have got so many wrinkles. Are they identifiable by their wrinkles, in the same way that a fingerprint is usable for identity? Justin, they probably are. I've no doubt they're all unique. Whether or not they change, I don't know. But I think there are easier ways to identify elephants. Look, from their brutality of breaking that branch off, that incredibly dexterous, very delicate. Look at the delicate fingers on that trunk. Unbelievable. I think this is fantastic. So, Justin, yes, I mean, you could probably identify elephants by their wrinkles, but I think you'd look at their tusks, the condition of their ears, before you went as far as trying to identify elephants from their individual wrinkles, which I think would be very time-consuming and quite difficult. This is absolutely amazing. The tusk gets wedged in there. I'm sure he can't snap that. I mean, to snap that would be unbelievable strength, especially with your incisor tooth. Oh, now we're going to go with the foot. There we go. He's now a bit irritated, I think. There he goes. He's got his stick with him. And he's taking his stick for a little walk. Now, he is, you can see, obviously, from the dangly bit between his back legs, a male, and that is indicating to me that he possibly is coming into must. That's not something that just happens, normally. So he probably is feeling a surge of testosterone, which is encouraging him to stay around with the herd and see if he can't find an estrus female. But like I say, although he is a massive animal, the chances of him mating now are very small. He's quite a lot younger than some of the prime bulls, if you like. They'd be sort of 40 years old. They could mate now, but if a bigger bull was to come along and there was an estrus female around, he'd get a hiding. Very nice question from a fascinating place. All the way from Qatar. Manda, you want to know if an elephant is able to give birth to twins. Manda, as far as I'm aware, absolutely it's possible. It's highly unlikely, but it has happened before. I've never seen it myself, I don't think. Right, he's going off into Arathusa there. I think we're going to leave him to do that. The rest of the elephants are going there too. And we're going to continue, turn around, do an about turn, and go along the southern boundary here of Djuma and see if we can't pick up some tracks of Karula the Queen. I'm not sure that anybody's driven along here today. And the weekends, of course, out here are very busy because the landowners come out, and so you have lots and lots of cars around. The radio has been almost completely silent today, and that's because all of the landowners have gone home, sitting at their desks, tapping away at their emails, chatting about the lamentable state of the rugby over the water cooler. Makes you feel glad to be alive, doesn't it, Bill? Out here. That got almost a smile from him today. Hello, Michael. Nice one about the naming of the cubs. You know that I've been calling them George and Charlotte, and that those are by no means official names. You want to know who gives the official names, when will they get them, and will they be in a local language? The naming of leopards, I believe, has taken on a mysticism and an aura that is ridiculous. And what happens in this area is that there's a great fight over who should be allowed to name the cubs, who spent the most time with them, who discovered them first, whose property they were found on, and therefore where the naming rights lie, what language it should be in. And frankly, it's ridiculous, because the leopards don't give a flying continental what you call them. I don't think. Maybe George and Charlotte would care. But the tradition is that the person or tracker and ranger who found the cubs should have the naming rights. Now, Brent Leo Smith found them, but because WildEarth wishes to sort of make as many friends here as possible, and because we haven't been around as long as some of the others, Aubrey and Taxon of Juma, who are the guides here, they are the guys who will probably have the naming rights of those two cubs. So they will name them. Where they'll get the names from, I don't know. Last time, when it came to Sindile's naming, good grief, we had to have 7,000 rangers meetings, and this one accused that one of not being honest about when he saw them and when he didn't. And then they shouted at us because our viewers had already given him a name. And, oh, God, it was really deeply painful. Anyway, so we'll see what happens with this one. In theory, Michael, there's no official language that they have to be in. I'm actually not sure what Sindile means. I don't think it's a Shangaan word. And they tried to then they changed the name to Madiba, which was Nelson Mandela's sort of praise name. There's a bushbuck. No, yes. Bushbuck on this road. It's very interesting. And then some people thought that wasn't very good because, you know, he was the father of our nation, so how could we be naming leopards after him? And that's when I started to switch off. I think Sindile is a great name for him, so we'll keep it at Sindile for now. They're two young Nyala, they're not bushbuck. And I'm told that Sindile means survivor. I don't know in what language that is, because it's not in the language that I know. There are two young Nyalas making their way in the world, wandering down south into Little Gowrie, hopefully into the jaws of Karula. Well, no, hopefully not, because they'd rather walk into her jaws on Juma. Now, for those of you who are new viewers, to the right of us is Little Gowrie. We can't go there, but as you can see, the animals are free to come and go as they please. Now, those Nyalas, remember we saw the impala eating the strychnos bushes earlier. Those Nyalas have resorted to eating strychnos as well now. Karula's got a lovely name. Her name means peace. Shadow's name means shadow. I don't know what Tingana's name means either. Lions exiting. I think that was yesterday. Going out. Fine trackers of him. Going out. Into Little Gowrie. I think it does, yes. That's right, it does. It means shy. Right, there's a warthog, Jim. There are two warthogs. I can't believe our luck. Our skill is unparalleled. There we go, everybody. Warthog at 40 metres. 36. I do apologise. Wium doesn't know that because he has some remarkable intellectual ability. Well, he does, but not in that specific way. The camera tells him how far away the focus point is. What's your f-stop, Wium?
5.2.
So you could be out.
Shutter speed's 100.
Young boar. No, it can't be a young bull. It's got teats. It's interesting. She looks like she's got two sets of warts on her face there. Which is very interesting. And you can see her eyes have obviously been caught perhaps on a stick. And she's crying there. She's pregnant, I think. I think she's quite heavily pregnant. Now, Mara, you want to know what the Shangaan word for warthog is. There is a Shangaan word, yes. It is hoji. I'm not sure of the spelling, but you could spell it phonetically Hodji. Hoji. So it would be one hoji, many tihoji. Could be tihoji or mahoji. I'm not sure which, one of the two. But it's definitely hoji. And in Zulu, pig and warthog have a wonderful name. It's ingulube, which I think just sounds like a pig, doesn't it? Ingulube. The languages out here are almost inescapably alliterative. In other words, you know, they're, because of the way they're put together, each noun belongs to a class, and that class has got a specific prefix, and the prefix then you use to indicate its attachment to whatever verb you might be using. So if you wanted to say the warthogs ran, or the warthogs ate grass. So you'd say tihoji, and then you'd use that ti on the front to put onto the verb. Tihoji taja, they eat. Bzani. So you always get these alliterative phrases, and it's so attractive to listen to. If you listen to somebody who can really speak the language properly, it's just beautiful. Now, there I don't see any tracks at the moment. Byron is currently tracking something, so with any luck, he will be lucky and come up with the lions or the leopard that I think he's tracking a leopard. But I don't see the Queen's tracks coming across here. But I think we'll go all the way along to the edge of this road before we decide that she hasn't come across. Much elephant moving up and down during the course of the day, at least the night. And I think we're in for a really delightfully warm day. Might have to just lift my hat slightly. It is remarkable what one can achieve with a finely shaped beanie in terms of different looks, don't you think, Wium?
Yes.
Do you think that's quite a good look? No. Do I look like I'm in a market in Tunisia?
Yeah, you look
Yes. Peddler of wares. Nothing further so far. We'll just keep an eye out on the tracks. And something that survives despite the cold, of course, many of the spiders. Now let's have a look here at this community nest spider and see if we can't hear any alarm-calling creatures while we do that. The sun is extremely bright today. There's the community nest spider. I think a remarkable construction. And inside there, all the little spiders live in a sort of apartment block situation. Males and females all together. Males alternately providing help with killing things, or if nothing flies into those knockdown threads that you can see surrounding the web, well, then they provide a meal for the females. Now, there's a squirrel alarm calling close by. So maybe it can see a predator. It's not sharping with a great enthusiasm. Let's just go a little bit forward. It's in here somewhere. Shamsan, let's just go a little bit forward and then I'll stop and we'll have another listen and then I'll explain to you about the road. I don't see any tracks here, but let's just see if we can't spot the squirrel in there. You'll hear it going. Shamsun, you say this road in front of us looks like it stretches on forever. How long does it go? It actually doesn't go too much further. It goes to the Kruger National Park boundary, and I'm sure you've seen us turn onto Cheetah Plains, which is about 5 kilometers from here. And it only goes another 2 kilometers or so, if that, I think. I think probably only, 2 kilometers from there. So probably only 7 kilometers to the Kruger Park boundary, and then it disappears. Now that squirrel is very unenthusiastically alarm calling, but it is alarm calling. But I see no tracks here. Keep looking in the tops of the trees. The little cubbies do like to sit in the tops of the trees. Oops. I don't see anything there, I'm afraid. There's just one big tree up there. But obviously, as soon as you want to look into it, no, I think we're okay there. Right, let's carry on. Keep a lookout on the tops of the trees. Of course, this time of the year for game viewing is really pretty good, simply because you can see into the bush and you can see what's lying in the tops of the trees, because there are no leaves on them. All right, Byron is back on the vehicle, and we can get an update from him on how his tracking is going.
Hi everyone, so I am on leopard tracks at the moment, but I'm very confused. They're heading up and down this road, and it's actually difficult for me to gauge which direction they're going. I'm trying to find the freshest tracks. It appears as if he's walked right along the road and come up right next to us over here. And what has happened is, I think, and I assume, he has scent marked on this bush. As he's walked past, his tracks have come right up into this little thicket here, or this little bush, right up against it. And often what they do is they will turn, flick their tail, and they spray their urine and they scent mark. But then there are tracks coming back down the road this way, so it's very, very confusing. I have a stick though for protection, just in case. But and you know, I really enjoy this part of guiding, is trying to work out and understand which way this leopard went, and did he cross north over into Buffelshoek, or did he cross south? Now, we have driven a road up called Hyena Road just behind us over there, and there were no tracks along that road. So while you're driving the whole time, you're trying to assess whether or not they've crossed over another road. It makes it easier to check potentially the next block. But this situation at the moment, it's very tricky, because there are very clear tracks coming along this way and very clear tracks coming along that way. But it is of a big male leopard, and I can tell that because the track is very, very large. It's a nice, round, large track, which is very distinctive of a male leopard track. The females, a little bit smaller and a little bit more elongated. I think what we'll do is we'll just drive along the road a little bit further and see if we can't find anything. Keep our eyes peeled. Just plug in here again. There we go. This is exciting though, that we have got big male leopard tracks. Try to check very carefully. As I said, I had tracks coming down the road in this direction and back along the road in this direction. It's not a case, or it's not impossible for a leopard to move in one direction and suddenly change its mind and turn. Possibly may have heard something, maybe impala rutting, even though it's not the rutting season at the moment, but you can still get a few impala fighting, and that snorting sound that they make can alert a leopard. You know, they are very opportunistic predators. They will go and investigate and see. They may have heard hyena calling, and wondered why the hyena are calling, you'll be surprised at how often male leopards will go and scavenge kills from other predators, especially another leopard. A second, just have a look over here. I think David might be able to zoom in on these tracks. Let's have a look on this side of the road. There we go, very clear, very, very clear tracks. Oh, they just out of sight here, all right. Nice big round tracks. But again, backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards. Now, it's not impossible to potentially have two leopards in this area. And what happens is, male leopards, when they are having a territorial dispute or territorial fight, they try and show each other up more than actually attack each other. So what they'll do is they'll walk in a line, up and down, on the kind of the boundary line between the two territories. And they do that so that they can intimidate one another. So there's a lot of salivating, they're baring their teeth, there's growling, there's scent marking. They'll go and they'll scrape their feet and they spray urine, they scent mark, they do a lot of that. And all of that behavior is to try and deter the other one from coming any closer or trying to take over their territory, and hopefully they will eventually just split up without actually getting into a fight. But it does happen at times where male leopards will get into a fight. And I think you saw it a few weeks ago, a week or two ago, where there were two leopards that were fighting. And these males attacked each other, and it's incredibly violent. They literally bite wherever they can, and they'll often lie down and just scratch with all their legs. And those sharp claws will dig into each other and they scratch and fight. Again, with the leopard, they try and avoid confrontation because if they get injured and they are solitary animals, there's no one else to hunt for them and feed them. So they won't do very well if they do get injured. So that's why they try and intimidate each other first, but as a last resort, they will attack each other, and who knows what could happen. Occasionally, you might find a leopard being injured so badly that it does eventually die. So this has really confused me, because these tracks are clearly coming down the road and those other tracks are clearly coming down in the other direction. Let's just check a little further. Sorry, I thought I saw something. A little bit of movement. I could be mistaken, and I think I am. But David and I drove this road this morning, and we didn't see these tracks. Let's see here. So I did see some tracks here earlier, and David and I did stop, but then they cut off. But as I said, we drove that road and we didn't see any more leopard tracks that side. So I think potentially this leopard was hiding from us and could very well have moved, once we had passed by, could have moved out of a thicket and moved down the road. It's not unusual for them to do that. They'll often do that. I've once tracked a leopard where we were literally 4 meters from it. It was lying in a bush. It did not make a sound and it didn't move. And eventually we realized it was in the bush, and we sat and waited, gave it a bit of distance in the vehicle, and eventually it moved out and we saw it. But if they don't want to be seen and you're walking around an area, you're not going to find it. Definitely not. So Arcadia would like to know what reserve we're on. So Arcadia, we are in the Sabi Sand Game Reserve on a property known as Djuma Private Game Reserve. Now, Djuma is right up in the northern part of the Sabi Sands, and this area is situated in the northeastern part of South Africa. We are part of the Greater Kruger National Park, so almost 7 million acres of land, 7 or 8 million acres of land. A very, very large area. Just having a very good look while we are driving, scanning very carefully because I'm curious. See, here we have leopard tracks again heading in that direction. But those other ones coming down do seem very, very fresh from this morning. So while I try and work these tracks around here, James is also tracking. Let's see what he's tracking. Cross over to him.
I've tracked a leadwood tree, everybody. There it is. I have achieved the pinnacle of my bush career. I can go no further. There is nothing left for me to achieve out here. Wium, do you agree? Yes, you can hear how vociferous and cheerful Wium is today. Now, there is something interesting about this tree, and it was actually asked by my rather sardonic partner today. He said, why, and I'm not worried to his accent, he said, why is that tree half dead and half alive? And I said to myself, well, in the absence of any kind of interesting animal to show our viewers, why don't we show them that tree and try and explain it? If you look at it, you can see that it is, as Wium says, half dead and half alive. Now, in the case of a mammal, or a human being, or an insect, or a bird, or a fish even, you cannot be half alive or half dead, can you, Wium?
No.
No, you are either alive or you are dead. Now, in the case of a tree, what they do is, in tough times, they sacrifice limbs. So they'll cut off circulation to one part of the tree during a drought, or maybe even a fire, if a fire's damaged the tree, and that part of the tree will die, and it means that the rest of the tree can carry on living. And you'll find quite a few trees around here that bear testament to sort of tougher times when, you know, there clearly wasn't enough rain or nutrients or something like that, and they sacrificed a piece of the tree. And that's what's happened here, and I think that's quite interesting. And I think over the course of the next little season, we know that we have quite a lot of trouble, all right, with not too much rain around the place and not too much water. So I think we're going to see that sort of situation quite a lot more in the coming months. Wium, was that the most amazing story you've ever heard? He says not really, not quite. One can only do one's best. Ah, well, there we go. Rebecca thought it was semi-interesting. Thank you, Rebecca. She is Danish, of course. Not sure what that has to do with anything. I'll ease our way through this very, very pretty place. She's saying being Danish means she's a nice person. She makes people feel better about themselves, even if they shouldn't. No, she's not a Zambian. She's a Dane. Like Hamlet. No, he wasn't British. His creator was English. He was Danish. You only soldiered your way through Macbeth, did you? Ah, well. I can't believe that your life will be that much poorer for it. This is a jackalberry tree, and jackalberry trees are particularly good at sacrificing limbs. And we've had Karuda in this very tree before with a duiker. The duiker was not alive. It was her breakfast. It's worth just stopping every so often and having a little listen to see if there's some alarm calls. At the moment, the wilderness is stonily and peacefully silent. The moon is up. The waning moon. Shall we have a quick look at the moon? Let's super zoom the moon, Wium. I must say, I do find that amazing. That there is the satellite floating about in space, somewhat, what was it, 384,000 kilometers from us, orbiting round our planet. I think it's the thought of what's beyond that that really blows my mind. Very nice, Wium. Not quite as nice as Karula and her cubs, but, you know, not bad. Take what we can get. Now, there is a tree here that I meant to show you the other day, and then we lost signal because I was driving Wendy. Here it is. This be it here. And it's supposed to smell like McDonald's, and it does smell like McDonald's. It smells like potatoes in the evening, but it doesn't smell like much now. And unless you can actually find a pod of flowers, you can't actually tell what smells. The flowers are very indistinct, sort of greeny things, and the plant never grows higher than this, and that's because of the browsers. So if you plant this in a camp, and you know, there's a fence around the camp and there are no other animals in the camp, well, then it grows into quite a big tree. But otherwise, it's just a scraggly little bush, and in the winter months, it smells so powerfully of potatoes at night, and that's just the flowers. And these things here are what smell, as far as I can tell. Isn't that interesting? Potato bush. It really is so reminiscent and so nostalgic a smell from the bush. This is a thing that looked like it might smell like lavender, but in fact smells of nothing. Which is very in sort of keeping with the theme of today. I have replugged in. I might hear the dulcet tones of the Dane. We can start calling Rebecca Ophelia if you like, yeah? She was Hamlet's lady. She went mad. Yes. I was going to say that ship has already sailed as far as Rebecca's concerned. Rebecca now says she's going to remain on this vehicle for the next hour and 10 minutes, watching us hack about the place trying to find animals. Yeah, my planes now. What do you think? Watch out there, heads. We're going to turn to the east. This road is where Wium and I first saw Karula together. It was a very nostalgic moment. She was on the bushbuck kill. Let's go across to Byron for an update on his tracking, which I'm told has led him to nothing.
So I haven't had any luck with those leopard tracks, but there's been a lot of leopard activity here. Those tracks that we had were of a male, and I've just seen tracks of a female walking along this road too. Just trying to see, I think we are going to take this road in here. See if we don't have any luck further down. And understand James tracked the leadwood. It's not very difficult, James. Well done. I'm trying very, very hard to find a leopard here. Just going to keep checking these roads very carefully. Some nice soft sand. So if there is any chance that the leopard walked down here, then we'll probably see the tracks very clearly. Got to check the trees. You never know. I'd love to find an impala hanging over a branch with a leopard lying in a tree feeding on it. That's a typical leopard idea you have in your head, but it doesn't happen often. A lot of the time, leopard actually feed on the ground. Just watch, we're right there. Yeah. A lot of the time, the leopards feed on the ground. The reason for that is it's just easier. They can make a kill, hide it in a thicket, feed, and then once they have fed a lot and the carcass is a lot lighter, then they may decide to hoist it into a tree. And the reason for that is to keep it out of reach of predators like hyena. Again, a lot of elephant tracks around here. I've got a good feeling about this, David. I think we're going to find something. I always think persistence in the bush pays off tremendously. You can never give up. You've got to listen and drive very carefully. Look for any signs of these animals being around here. So Jenna Brown has asked, what do we do when we are not on live safari? So Jenna Brown, we try and do a few different things. Few of the guys try and exercise every day. James runs a small gym where he keeps everybody fit, and we generally read, play cards, just try to keep ourselves busy, and also chat about what we did on the drive, what was good about the drive, what we can maybe work on and changing, and then plan. James and I will try to plan the afternoon what we're going to do again for that drive, or in the morning what our plan is, try to work different areas. So a lot of that, and then just try and have a lot of fun. The wonderful thing is there really is a great team with Safari Live, and we have a lot of fun in our little camp. We laugh a lot and enjoying each other's company quite a bit. Which is not always easy because you are in a confined area for a long time and a lot of different personalities, but fortunately everybody's very easygoing and we really enjoy it. We're approaching Buffelshoek Dam. And I'm just scanning this drainage line very carefully around here, because often you can get predators moving into a drainage line, especially leopard, they like to lie down out of sight so they don't get bothered by any other animals. This is quite interesting. I'll show you this quickly. I see this beautiful tree next to us. This is a knobthorn or an acacia tree which the elephant have stripped the bark off the tree and it has died. We spoke about it yesterday, how they strip the bark off, they feed on the bark, but once the bark has been stripped, there's nothing to transport the nutrients to and from the tree. But interestingly enough, if you have a look over here, there's a lot of mud on the side of the tree. Can you see that? And that would be obviously an animal that is very large, very tall. I mean, the mud is all the way up there. So that is from the elephant. What happens is the elephant come and they bathe themselves in mud or in the water. They splash mud on their backs, on their sides. What it does is it helps protect the skin, cools them down, especially in summer. They love to throw mud over themselves, gets rid of a lot of the flies and just cools the temperature down a little bit. What they do afterwards is they'll come and they'll stand up against a nice big tree like this, beautiful rubbing post, and they'll rub and they'll scrape their bodies against the tree, and it rubs the mud off of their body, and often what it does is it can get rid of a lot of ticks. So rhino and buffalo also love doing that, but this is from elephant. There's a lot of mud caked on the tree. Occasionally, if you look very carefully at other rubbing posts, you can sometimes find the little ticks that are stuck, dead ticks that are stuck in the mud that have been rubbed off against the tree. It's beautiful to see, and they rub it smooth. I mean, this is very, very smooth. It's incredible. So I've been getting in and out of the vehicle quite a bit this morning. Nothing has growled at me yet. So we're not having any luck finding any of the big cats. So Heidi from Oregon has asked, do the elephants do that to the telephone poles which are in the area, or the power line poles? Heidi, I haven't seen them rub up against those poles. I think the reason is those poles are all treated. They have a lot of creosote which is rubbed on them, and also that smell of that creosote. I don't think the elephants like it very much. Just want to have one more look up here quickly. So Heidi, I haven't seen them do it to telephone poles. There's a Franklin flying off over there. No sign of any activity around the dam at the moment. It's a beautiful morning though. So the other thing that I've noticed is there is no hippo in this dam at the moment. Now that is something you always have to keep in mind when you're tracking in areas like this. Hippo can be very unpredictable and can be quite aggressive if they feel threatened. So with me walking around and tracking, if I had to bump into a hippo, it would get a fright. And what they do is they then will turn and try and run in the direction of the water for safety. If I am in the way, I could be in some serious trouble. So you really need to keep your wits about you while you are tracking. Always know the area, know what is around. Is there water? Isn't there water? What potential animals can you bump into if you're tracking something else? So no luck, no sign of any animals around here at the moment. Let's carry on south. think those leopards have evaded us, and possibly, you know, we were on the boundary road with our northern property, Biffleshoek. The male tracks, I do think, crossed north, definitely. Those female tracks, I didn't quite get a chance to see exactly which direction they crossed. I thought I'd just have a look down there, but there are no tracks coming down to the waterhole. It's possibly lying in a drainage line somewhere hiding. A lot of birds flying around, a few hornbills flying over us. The magpie shrikes with their long tails, they've flown over. Well, I've checked this northeastern part of Djuma very carefully this morning, and there are signs of predators from early this morning or last night, but nothing that's popping out just yet. But, as I always say, it's too soon to panic. You never know. We could very easily bump into something shortly. Got to stay positive. So I'm going to continue driving about, and James is doing the same. Go have a look where he is driving.
We've come to Cheetah Plains, everybody, and we've seen one impala on the way here, haven't we, Wium? Yes. We also saw a batalier, but it was in such deep bush that Wium said, "Do you really think we should film that?" And I said, "No, probably not." So here we are at Cheetah Plains, and what you do find, of course, is the ubiquitous presence of the bush willow trees. Very nice termite mound here also on the left. Super stuff there. I'm really quite astounded today by our lack of success. I suppose some days it's just like that. Now, Wimpy, yesterday we tasted some dry leaves. Would you like to taste some dry leaves? Because I know you don't like to be left out. Well, they're not too bad. Let's try these ones. There are hyena tracks all over every single road we've been on, so maybe the hyenas have chased away everything else. Oh, the lovely call there. Now, I don't know if any of you were on drive yesterday evening, on Sunday afternoon. It was a beautiful Sunday afternoon that we had. Now, you need to taste the difference, everyone, between the green.
Which one do you go first? Green?
Green first. I wish you could see his face. Not very good. And
It tastes like a super, maybe, I don't know. It's not bitter.
It does taste bitter, but it tastes like straw.
Yeah,
And it's because the nutrients have gone. And so
it also smells bad.
it doesn't, no, that's probably because there was a stink bug on it. That's a pity. Sorry for that. But that's what the animals are faced with. That's what they're going to have to try and eat. And more, that's going to become difficult. And so they resort to eating those strychnos bushes, which is not necessarily very good for them. And as the drought progresses, or the dry season progresses after the drought, so things are going to get tougher. Righty. We'll just head straight. We don't have too much longer left. We've got about an hour. So we'll head straight towards those big clearings and see. Hello, Shamsun. Nice one from you. You say you understand the Cheetah Plains is a relatively new traversing area, and how do we find, or how do you get new traversing areas? Well, Shamsun, the first thing you do is pay money. That is the be-all and end-all of getting traversing areas. But it's not quite as simple as that. What it is that you've got to negotiate, because all of the landowners here are quite careful about how many vehicles they have driving on their land, with a good reason, because if you're running a tourism operation, you don't want the place to look like, well, unfortunately, what you really want to avoid, especially in South Africa, is a situation like you have in some parts of East Africa, where, you know, you have a lion sighting with 40 or 50 zebra-striped minivans sitting around the lions. And you've all seen pictures of that, I'm sure. And that's one of the great advantages of this particular area, is that you'll never be in a site with more than 2 ideal guests. Landowners here guard their privacy.
So we just lost signal with James there, but while I was tracking, look what I bumped into. Just this elephant by itself, young elephant. I haven't seen any others around. It's unusual to find a youngster or younger elephant like this by itself. I'm sure there must be a few others around. But just as I was saying, while you're tracking, you've got to be so careful. And I got off and I wandered a few meters away from the vehicle and heard the bushes and turned, and there he came through. My favorite. I love seeing elephant. David asked to see elephant this morning, so David, your wish has been granted. So Chitta from India would like to know, do the elephants sometimes break their tusks? Yes, they do. And you often see it, especially with older elephant. But you can see, because they do use their tusks for breaking the branches and tearing bark off trees, and often you can find elephant with broken tusks. Once they do break, if they break at a certain point, they do not grow back. They might get a little bit thicker, but they don't actually grow back at all. So you'll have these broken off tusks, and the tail just swishing about there. Still just trying to see if I can't find any others around here. Nothing. There is one or two behind. I can just see and hear bushes moving. I can't see the elephant yet, but they are behind, so there is a few elephant in this area. I thought so. I thought it was very strange for this elephant to be by itself. Let's see if he moves. It's very, very thick through here. These elis are enjoying all these trees, probably breaking the branches and feeding on the bark. They strip the bark off the branches. Have a look. It just bent that branch and is feeding off. It's a bit tricky to see now. As I say, it is quite thick. I can hear another one moving close. I'm hoping they decide to move out into the open a little bit. Hopefully we get a better view of them. Some branches breaking in the background, or there's either elephant or breaking them. Sure. Beautiful light coming off the head of the elephant there. Look at that. The sun is warming everything up now beautifully. Very, very nice. See if I just want to move forward a little bit for us quickly. See if I can't find a better little gap for you. Maybe through there. How's that? A little better. There we go. Yeah. Oh, really enjoying that African wattle. The also used to be known as the weeping wattle, the African wattle. Got those long, soft leaves, and I think the elephant is enjoying. So Kevin in the UK has asked, are there nerves in the elephant tusk? Kevin, I'm not 100% sure, but I believe that there are. And that is one of the reasons why those tusks, once they break, so if I understand that if the tip, a very small part of the tip of the tusk is broken, it may still continue growing. But if a larger chunk of the tusk is broken off, that those nerve endings are severed, and then the tusk then stops growing. So I understand that there are one or two nerves running through the tusk. The other elephant aren't coming out at all. They're quite deep in the bush behind this one. But I'm glad we got to see some elephants. So we've been quite lucky. We've seen buffalo, we've seen elephant, we've seen lion tracks, and we've seen leopard tracks. But it's a good sign. It means they are around. Oh, just threw that branch over. And off it goes, possibly to join the others. Well, wasn't that great? A nice little surprise. Just shows you never know what you're going to bump into out here. Let's carry on, and we'll see what else we can find. I wonder if Wium is still alive from all the leaves that James has been feeding him. I don't know if I trust James too much to accept anything he gives me to eat. And this seems like he likes having a guinea pig with him. Try this, try this. More hyena tracks. We've been seeing hyena tracks all morning. On every road that we've driven on, we've seen hyena tracks. It's incredible. There really is a high hyena density in this area. Oh, there's some more elephant. Some younger ones. Hang on. Just want to have a look at where the herd is spread out. There's a young one through there. Some adults up ahead. Yeah, a lot of elephant around here now. I'm going to drive forward a little bit because I think there's some ones a little bit closer to the road for us. Let's just see. I can see some movement around here. There's a nice big one off to the right. Oh, there we go. That looks like a big male. And there he goes. Oh, there's a lot of elephant around here. Comes another one. From the left, it's going to come into your picture short. Oh, there it is. Yep. Oh, wonderful. This is what we call a breeding herd of elephant. Which basically just means it's a lot of the females and all the younger elephant that are together, and occasionally you will get a big male moving in. Just seeing if there are any females around that are potentially in estrus that they can mate with. And then eventually they'll move on again. They'll spend a few days with the herd and then move on. Males are often found by themselves or with 2 or 3 other males, often younger males. You can hear them communicating with each other. They've got this low grumble. It sounds like a grumble. It is a vocalization though. And they communicate that way. These elephants are really spread out around here. I'd say, oh, look at that. And playful. It's great to see how affectionate these large beasts can be. Often touching each other, rubbing up against each other. As I was saying, they really are spread out. I'd say there's an area of about 100 meters or so that they are spread out over, at least 100, 150 meters. You hear that? There's a very low vocalization there. They just stopped again. Them communicating with each other. Going to move a little forward again. Just see, I think most of them are right in the thicket here. Let me see if I can't get a better view for you. But while I do that, James has some striped friends for you.
Well, there they are, everybody, my striped friends, the zebra. And they are having a drink here on Cheetah Plains, at Cheetah Plains Pan. And it's all rather peaceful. One of them is lain down over there, Wimpy, in the middle of the clearing, are having a bit of a roll. That's one of the stallions. Oh, he's doing his Flemen grimace, checking to see if any of his ladies are ready to mate. Now the zebra around here, I think, have been growing in numbers over the last little while. And I think that's got to do with the fact that the water is limited, the grazing is limited, and a couple of the kinship groups, which consist of stallions and their mares and their offspring, have come together. And they're sort of sought each other out for security, and also because there's only so much grazing and there's only so much water around, and so they've kind of concentrated their activities. I think it's a lovely little scene, this, the doves coming down to drink too, always with their eyes open for a sparrowhawk or a falcon that might be diving out of the sky to grab them. Ring-necked doves. And the zebras are trotting around. That's wonderful. How many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. At least 15 of them. So probably 3 kinship groups. You can see how bright it is and how quickly it got bright. Oh, I think the message coming through from the final control, although it is as cryptic as a sort of Second World War enigma message, is that when you last spoke to us, we were talking about traversing and you lost signal with us. And I was talking about how you get more traversing. Shamsan, you get more traversing through the complicated process of negotiating with the other landowners. And one of the big things about that is that the vehicles out, or the landowners out here that run tourism operations, don't want to have a situation where there's a great crush of vehicles on their properties. And so they very jealously guard the privacy that their guests are offered. And that basically defines, oh, look at them run. Oh, it's wonderful. That's great. Fantastic to watch them run like that. They've all decided they've had enough and they're disappearing off. Yumpy. Guess what I've seen?
A lion.
No. An ostrich. The ostriches from yesterday are still over there. Let's drive up there and have a look. So, Shamsan, they're also, of course, by the very nature of the fact that the Sabi Sands has been in sort of private ownership for, well, let's say almost 100 years now, the politics surrounding the different landowners is obviously often quite large, because many of the properties, you know how it goes, where a family buys a property and then when mum and dad shake off this mortal coil, they leave it to their children, so the farm splits, and then the same thing happens again and again. And I mean, there's one property down in the south of this reserve that has got 50 landowners from a family that has split again and again and again. So there's a lot of complicated politics around here as well. And Shamsan, you want to know if we're also allowed to move around onto other areas during our time off? And the answer is no, we aren't. We're not allowed to do that. I mean, we've only got these 3 properties: Juma, Arathusa, and Cheetah Plains. On our time off, we don't go knocking about unless we're invited. So we went for dinner once with Joost Danhauser, who is on Buffelshoek, and Brent and I went with one of the other landowners on Buffelshoek. We went and had some lunch with them once. So we do, but you can't just kind of drive onto the land if you want to. Look at these ostriches. Hello, chaps. There, good to see you again. Now, I don't know if you were with us yesterday on our drive, but we had the most fantastic time with these chaps. We spent a good hour and a half to 2 hours with them, and they were grazing eventually into the setting sun, and it was the most wonderful scene. Are you an ostrich fan, Wium?
Okay.
They're okay. Would you prefer leopards?
Cheetah.
Cheetahs?
First time I've seen them on Safari Live.
What, ostrich?
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, that's a good, wonderful. First time Wium's seen them on Safari Live, everybody. Now, let's just watch them carefully, because last night they wanted to avoid the thickets very carefully, and they turned round as soon as they hit the wall of trees. And see if they do the same thing here. And pecking away at whatever little pieces of greenery they can find. And of course, if you haven't seen them before, it's the females there that are brown and the male resplendent in his black plumage. Huge birds, just over two and a bit meters tall, which is about 7.5 feet at the very tallest. And only around about 70 kilograms, so not that heavy. That's about the same weight as Wium and I. What do you weigh, Wium?
64. Yes.
That in pounds, if you're wondering, everyone, is about 130 pounds. Wium and I are not substantial human beings. 150 pounds. Mac and Weezer, what a wonderful name. You say, are all these ostriches males? No, they're not. The brown ones are females, and the black one is male. He's got a sort of business suit on, if you like. And so you can hardly sort of tell the difference in their size. There really is not much difference at all, is there? This is so special, everyone. I know they ain't lions or leopards, but... oh, dear. Please excuse me, I'm so sorry. Whew. Got some dust in my nose. Thank you, Rebecca. No thanks to you, Wium. It's just so rare to spend time with him like this. And, of course, the Kruger Park area is not most famous for ostriches, but wherever you have an open area and a system of open areas like we do here, then you will find ostriches. Amazing shot of their feet. So cool. The little 2 toes only. I actually think that male is smaller than the females. Very nice. Just listening to Andrew on the radio, he says that there are lion tracks on Djuma, but I don't know that they're there. Thank you, Sandy in Oregon. You say that you're enjoying seeing the ostriches. They are remarkable birds. Of course, they are the world's biggest bird at 70 kilograms. And we tend to think of that as being beyond the weight at which a bird can fly. But you know, the heaviest bird ever, well, as far as we know, the heaviest flying bird in history weighed close to 80 kilograms. That is 180 pounds odd. And obviously an ostrich is not designed to fly, it is designed to run. But birds that size, birds this unbelievable size, in prehistory have been seen soaring over the skies. Can you imagine our ancient human ancestors scuttling under a guarri bush at the sight of an 80-kilogram bird flying overhead? I'd be quite nervous, wouldn't you, Wium?
Mm-hmm. Up the cover.
Yes. The heaviest flying bird at the moment, of course, the Corey bustard, 21 kilograms, I think, is the biggest they get, which is about 50 pounds. And they don't fly with great aplomb. I mean, they're hardly mobile. Hello, Elaine. You say you've seen on TV that ostriches will chase vehicles, and you want to know if they are aggressive inherently. Do they chase vehicles? No animal is inherently aggressive, Elaine, I don't believe. They're not inherently aggressive. They do become a little bit testy, though, if you threaten them. And they certainly will chase you on foot if you get too close, and if they feel like they're being threatened by you, then they will absolutely chase you on foot, but not a vehicle. I think it's highly unlikely. It's not impossible. I mean, they could come chasing at the vehicle. That would be quite amusing. Well, I suppose until you got pecked on the head by one of them. The real danger from them, Elaine, though, is not the beak. The real danger is the claws on the front of those two toes, which can, in fact, disembowel a human being if you don't lie down in front of them. So you have to lie down in front of them if they get close to you. All right, let's pop across to Byron. He's got an elephant.
We've got some more elephant. It's so wonderful. There's a lot of elephant around here. There's one right in front of us, and there's another one coming out the bush to the right. Have a look here. Beautiful female. Let's see how they react towards us. They seem very relaxed. And there's another one coming. All very close to us. This is great. Out in the open. I can hear elephant trumpeting in the distance. Possibly that herd that we saw earlier, because they did trumpet while we were there, not at us. Potentially maybe just the youngsters trumpeting because the females aren't giving them any milk. There's another young elephant off to the right. You won't be able to see it just yet. Just through the thicket it is coming out, and you will see it shortly. There we go. A lot of elephant around here. I can hear the branches breaking all over. This is great. I'm very happy that to sit with elephant like this. Look at that, how that youngster's lifting up its foot. They do use their feet to try and loosen branches and that, but I think perhaps it may have had something stuck on the foot and was using its trunk to try and get it loose, maybe a little thorn. But they've got very soft pads. The elephant don't feel the thorns really, or it doesn't bother them. I wouldn't say they don't feel them, it doesn't bother them. Going to try to see if we can't move a little bit closer to see if they are other, or see those other elephant further down. See how the female reacts to us first. Seems okay. So that's a little warning. That's just her saying, don't come any closer. I'm feeding here at the moment. I don't want you to disturb me. It's just a little warning. Shake of the head. Saw that dust come off of her. Beautiful. But it's not. She's not too aggressive. She's still feeding happily. The thing with the elephant, though, is they give you so many warnings. Now, it would be silly for me to try and go closer again. She's given us a little warning. She's now settled down. There's no reason to push it, so we'll just sit here and wait. We don't want to irritate them until she decides to move off, and then we can carry on. Can you believe Monday morning traffic? I'm sure there's worse traffic to be sitting in on a Monday. See, now she's not too fazed by us moving off. Wonderful. Really, really great. Okay, she has moved off, so I'm going to start up and see. Oh, hang on. Let me just give this little one a chance to cross. There we go. See, often these youngsters also try their luck, or they just want to see what we are and see if they can frighten us away. So they'll often do a little mock charge or shake their head. They've seen the adults do it, so then they try to do it to us. But it's just a learning curve for the young one. There's no threat for us at all, but it's always great to see them react like that. While I try to maneuver through this elephant herd, James is still playing around with his feathered friends.
I wouldn't play with an ostrich. Ooh, very nice. Wonderful. Well, oh, fantastic. Full dunging. Well done, Wium. Excellent shot there.
Yep.
I wouldn't be playing with one of these things, I have to tell you. Hello, Joey in Australia. Joey, a very nice one from you, as normal, a nice, astute question. We say that the buffalo and the other herbivores are going to struggle in the drought. What about the ostriches? Are they also going to struggle in the drought? Joey, they will struggle, but they are desert adapted, you know. They're almost, I don't want to say foreign in this area, but they're not common here. They're desert adapted animals. They live very well in the desert. So I think you'll find that they'll do better than most animals here in the drought. They don't need to drink water nearly as often as anyone else does. They will struggle to find food, of course, like everyone else will, but I think you'll find that they're going to do a lot better than the buffalo and the other herbivores. Many of them in Namibia, many of them down in the Karoo areas and the Kalahari. Margaret, I can't see what they're eating. You want to know what they're eating exactly. They'll be eating little green shoots. So if I drive along here, I think it's sort of forbs like this. Can you see that plant there? They're just pulling off the new shoots on plants like that. I think that's what they're going for. Let's go across to Byron. His elephants are now playing.
Some younger elephant, at least two young ones now that we've seen, moving down the bottom. But we are right in the middle of the herd at the moment. I thought I could squeeze through, but I don't want to disturb them too much. And they seem very comfortable now, so we'll just sit and wait and watch them. Look how that elephant's using its foot. Do you see that? Very interesting how they kick and loosen. Look at that. Little roots or shoots or branches that they might be trying to get. Incredible. I wonder if James is going to get an ostrich egg for us and make omelettes this morning. So Alice has asked about the elephants and their horns. So Alice, it's actually the tusks. They're not horns, they are tusks. And Alice would like to know, is it harder for elephant without tusks to get food than it is for elephant with tusks? And as I say that, you can hear a branch breaking behind us, or a tree. That elephant is pushing a small tree over. Sure. Everything going on here at the moment. So Alice, no. Some elephant do not develop tusks like others, and those tusks are occasionally hidden, or they just do not grow out. They are still able to get food, and the reason for that is, one, they still have their trunk. The trunk is an incredible tool that they can use to get food, and they'll still feed like they normally do. The only thing that it might hinder them is they don't have the ability to break the bark or tear bark off of trees if they don't have tusks to loosen it. But what will happen then is they will generally always be other elephant around, and those elephant will break and tear bark, and that one will still go and feed from it. So they do work together, and I have seen many elephants without tusks, and they are very healthy, and they are still able to feed just like an elephant with tusks. See how that one pushed that tree over? Probably trying to get to some of the roots. It's smelling us now, I think. That's why it lifted its trunk. Right. Let's see if I can't get another view of these in front of us. See how they react towards us. There's that little one just under the female. Off it goes. Oh, it's sliding into that little hole. Look at that. Learning how to use that trunk. Oh, it's wonderful. Sally from Oregon just commented and said, it's amazing to see the dexterity of the trunk. It is. It really is incredible, Sally. You are right. And the reason for that is there are thousands, thousands of muscles within that trunk. And it takes them about 2 to 3 years to fully learn the use of the trunk or how to use it. And after that, look at that young. This is just playing. And then once they do, I mean, these adults have the ability to pick up tiny fruit or break branches, so they can do just about anything with their trunk. Look at that. Oh, they're so cute, these little elephants. Really, really are so cute. Love watching them. They're so playful. It's in that kicking that branch. That's something it's learned from the adults, from its mom. It's seen the female doing it, so now it's trying to do it. It's definitely wants that little branch. It's just not able to get it yet. And it's got a few leaves. It's going to slip down into that hole if it's not careful. Looks like it's getting frustrated. What a wonderful sighting. Look at that. I don't know what this youngster's trying to do. And throwing a bit of sand around. Waiting for the female. Move forward for us a little bit again. She may give us a little warning. Yeah, thought so. There we go. Just saying, I'm feeding here. Don't come any closer. I have my calf with me. But again, it wasn't a serious warning. She just turned and as I said, you know, if you read the elephant behavior and you get used to it, it's very easy to tell if they are upset or not. And if they do give you a small little sign, there's no reason to go any closer. Just stop and wait. Switch off quietly. And if they start feeding again like this female is doing, then you know they've calmed down. See how she's standing with her legs crossed, her back legs. Elephant will occasionally do that just purely because they're resting. They'll rest one leg, they'll lean to one side, they'll rest the other legs, they'll lean to another side, the opposite side. And you see, so that female doesn't have tusks, and she's still in very good condition, and she's feeding happily. So it just shows you there that they don't need the tusks to feed. I'm going to roll down here a little bit further, see if we can get past these elephant. While I do that, James is leaving Cheetah Plains.
Jumping the gun a bit, everybody. We're not quite leaving Cheetah Plains just yet. We're just going to pop past 3 in a row pan again and see if there's anything there. There wasn't when we came in, so we sped on past from there. But we'll just go and have one last look down there and see what's around. Other than the zebras you saw, we did do a quick pass through the clearings. We saw some wildebeest there. That was quite fun, but your elephant was playing on the ground there, so we didn't come and see the wildebeest. Any of which we'll see back home, I imagine, as well. And Byron should know better than to ask me if I've got him an egg, for 2 reasons. Firstly, this is not ostrich breeding season. And secondly, I'm not going to feed Byron. Byron must feed himself. He's old enough now to look after himself. I'd actually quite like to try an ostrich egg omelette. Apparently it's very good. But no nest. I don't think I could bring myself to steal an egg from the only 4 ostriches that I've seen in the Sabi Sand. There's not much going on here. I think Shamsun, you wanted to see the skull of the wildebeest. Well, there it is. There it is. I'm not sure what you wanted to see about it, but it's a pretty intact skull, actually. It's a really good one, and were we about to go into TV, I may be tempted to steal it for my tent. That is... Oh, hang on a second. Wium, you will tell me if quarantine pitches up here, won't you? It's actually a really good skull, because normally what happens is that the nose is bitten off. And you can see the nose is complete here. I'm sorely tempted to take this home with us, but I don't think I can. Just look at the size of the jaw here. It's an impressively sized jaw, and it fits into this spot here. No, that bit's been eaten off. So the joint into which it fits has been eaten off. Anyway, there you are, Shamsun. Wildebeest, Conochates terinus, dead. You can hear the gentle flowing of water. This is not a spring, but it is a borehole. You can see the water coming out there, feeding the animals during these trying, dry times. This little pan is going to become a serious focal point over the next few months, so it's going to be well worth coming to see. Likewise, the Cheetah Plains pan that we were at earlier. The last 3 times I've come here, we've had an amazing time at the Cheetah Plains pan. There's always been something coming down. Justin, you say, have we been past the tree that almost incapacitated me? We haven't. We're going to go past it now on our way out. I'm probably going to run it over. Make sure that it's thoroughly, thoroughly sorry for what it did to me. There's a steenbok, Wium. Can you believe our luck? Oh. Little female steenbok, standing like a steen. Now running faster than a cheetah. Shouldn't like you, Wium. I'm always astounded by how many of them get eaten and then how many of them there are left. I think if I was a leopard, that would be my choice. Unlikely to do you any harm. Pretty easy to catch. Defensive mechanism just to stand still rather than run away. But I guarantee you they will be fearsome if pressed. Same as a duiker. Terrifying things are duikers if you corner them. Now my tree that tried to kill me yesterday is over that way. We shall head towards it and possibly chop it down. Have I got this wrong? I think I've got myself mixed up. Yes, I have. Sorry, everybody, it's actually round back that way. We've missed it. I saw it on the way in. So we're not going to see my tree, I'm afraid, which is probably a good thing. I think it would be horrible for you to watch me destroy the tree in a rage for what it did to me yesterday. It hurt my finger, Wium. You see, look, I've got 2 owies on my finger. See that? 2 nasty owies. There's one. And there's the other one there. Very sore. Sacrifices that I have made for this show. We are going to head now out of Cheetah Plains. I'm very glad we came here. It was very worthwhile. Lots of beautiful zebra. And of course my pals, the ostrich. No egg for Byron for his breakfast. I'm sure there'll be something else for him though. Some slop we'll find him to eat. Maybe some winter porridge. Now this is an amazing tree. Let's just quickly stop here. It's not the most amazing tree, but it's quite amazing given what else we've seen today. It's a black monkey thorn, and it's got far more enormous than any other black monkey thorn I've seen in this area. And you'll find that it is quite by coincidence and massive, massive amounts of luck that it's managed to avoid being pushed over by elephants. For it to have got to this stage of its life without having been mangled by elephants is quite something. And I'm sure it's just almost blind luck that it's managed to do it, because all around here you'll find black monkey thorns that are very scraggly bushes that have been eaten by the elephants. All right, everybody, as we head out of Cheetah Plains, thank you very much for being with us today on this quiet drive. It's always comforting to have you along for the ride and chatting as we look for things that we didn't find. Thank you, Wium. Good. I'm going to hand you back to Byron for the next 5 minutes or so. Hopefully he will have a successful 5 minutes with you. Until this afternoon at 3 o'clock, stay safe and happy wherever you are, and we'll see you later.
Goodbye, James. And yes, of course, we will have a successful 5 minutes. Look at these beautiful dwarf mongoose that we have found. There's a few of them around. I can see them. They're running all around the vehicle at the moment, while a few meters away, foraging for food. They are so beautiful. I love seeing these dwarf mongoose. Look at that. Oh, very cute. I've tried to call them before. Occasionally, you can make a little sound and they get curious and they come and have a look. Let's see if it works. See, they definitely hear it and they just want to see what it is. But look at that. How cute are they? It's watching us very closely. Oh, there goes the other one. Just moved off to the side. Oh, there they go. There's a few running around just off to the side. There's 3, 4, 5, 6. They're very gregarious, always in large groups. Yeah, I think they have moved off. A few of them still just running about. It's difficult to focus on those little guys. David, I don't know how you do it. Wonderful. Nice way to end off our afternoon drive, our morning drive. Really, really great. I hope you have enjoyed this morning with us. I certainly have. And David got to see his elephant herds. We saw quite a few elephants this morning, which is great. Happy about that. We'll see what this afternoon holds for us. Never know. I mean, again, we had all those lion and leopard tracks, so there was a lot going on. We just need to find them. That's the key. So slowly making our way back towards the camp. Just seeing if there isn't something we bump into in the last minute. Went through this drainage line quickly. It's a beautiful area that we are in. So much to offer. Beautiful terrain for a lot of predators and for the herbivores too. A lot of food, so it is great to drive around here, and it's been a beautiful morning. It's warmed up really well, and I'm sure we'll have some more luck this afternoon, especially with all these elephants that have been around. Maybe we get some elephant down at the waterholes, you never know. So I hope wherever you are in the world, you have a wonderful, wonderful Monday and have a great week, and hopefully you get to join us on a lot more drives this week. I'm still here till Thursday, so really looking forward to a few more days with all of you. A big thank you to the ladies in my head, or from the FC, that have been talking to me all morning and sending me the questions that you have sent through. A big thank you to James and Wium. It's always great to drive and bounce ideas off each other. Thank you, David, for a great morning. And we will see you this afternoon on our sunset safari. Have a great day. Thank you very much, everyone. Bye-bye.